Champions League.
Yes.
The round of 16, just like we did last week. It was exciting. We are on the road to Budapest. Finally. What I wanted to talk about, just like last week, first I want to get the Paris game out of the way. Chelsea weren't able to meet my expectations. I had very high expectations when I saw the draw for Chelsea vs PSG. I guess, all the hard work came from the first game when Jorgensen gifted the goals to the Parisians. After that, Chelsea had no option but to overload. They conceded 2 early goals, 2 goals in the first 15 minutes against PSG. Their world-class midfield missed Reece James in this game. Everything was decided very far early into the game. Also, I want to talk about Barcelona and how they almost gave us a heart attack. Me personally, I took them in the minus 1.25 Asian spread. They gave me a minor heart attack in the first half, where they were scoring, then conceding, scoring again, conceding back again. I think that penalty in the stoppage time is what decided the fixture. They showed too much superiority in the first 15 minutes of the second half, overpowered Newcastle, equaled the second best record for a high-scoring team in the Champions League playoffs. But remember, the first one was that Barcelona vs Bayern. It was a crazy game, that 8-2 in Camp Nou. I think they equalized Manchester United's record vs Roma, that 7-1, 2007. And I also want to talk about Sporting. I know Brad went through my notes and saw that I spent 45 minutes in the stationary bike, and I'll tell you the story behind that. That's a world first out there. I decided to hit the gym when Sporting was playing against Bodo. And I saw that early on the second half, they had a 2-0 lead. That smelled opportunity. The odds were 2.40 at the time. I decided to go with Sporting to qualify. I saw the stats. I occupied the machine in the gym, watching the game a bit. Had this huge line behind me. Who cares? And I saw Sporting firebowering, shooting, entering the box whenever they wanted to, with Trincao, with Nuno Santos from the left. Luis Suarez was a great target man in that game. So what I did, I stopped working out my upper body, and I went straight to the stationary bike. I loaded my stake. I won't disclose how much I bet. And I watched the entire second half, the rest of the second half. It was the last 30 minutes, plus the first 10 minutes of the extra time. Thank God they scored early. My calves feel thankful for the guy who scored the fourth goal. I don't remember who it is now. Also, we hit a winning pick, but Brad will say more. I would like your comment on this and the other games.
Yeah, man, the Sporting game was quite incredible. And, I have the benefit of, joining other shows. And I think you were probably the only person who was kind of receptive to what bet I would have in that game. Every single show I would talk something different. So this one I had Luis Suarez to score a goal. You were receptive. Another show I had Luis Suarez 3+ shots on target. Hated it. Another one was Sporting corners. They hated it. They all hit corners, goals, Sporting team total, all of it. That game was the epitome of it is hard to play in Portugal. And Bodo were overmatched in terms of once Sporting got the momentum in that game, they were toast. But let's talk about some other games. Let's talk about, like you said, Chelsea never showing up. Over 2 legs, embarrassed at home. Manchester City, what a joke. They started that game so fine, and then Bernardo Silva decided to stick his arm out and decide, hey, I don't know what to do in this situation. Let me stick my arm out, get sent off, and we lose the game and the tie. Liverpool dominated Galatasaray. I thought that might have happened once I saw Galatasaray's lineup, and they just wanted to hang on in that. Probably the best match that Liverpool have played under Arne Slot since he's been there. I was just happy with how the games turned out. It was a pretty good week for me in terms of soccer betting. And when Champions League rolls around, it's when I lick my chops. But sometimes you walk into a pretty scary or dangerous situation. This was really nice. I was really aggressive, and I capitalized.
We also one of Liverpool's finest games under Arne Slot on Wednesday, and one of Liverpool's worst games under Arne Slot on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not Liverpool fan TV. I get it. I will hold my horses here. One other thing I wanted to say about the Sporting game again, and how people wrongfully hated your picks, which I loved. I told you last week as well. Also followed one of yours. Is that I think that this fixture of Bodo in Milan was just a parenthesis, on the whole Bodo away from Norway in European Cup playoffs. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we went into Bodo's games in last year's Europa League, their away fixtures. In Piraeus against Olympiacos, in Rome against Lazio, in Tottenham, they just don't show up. And that's what they also did last Tuesday against Sporting. And we have a new, fresh set of pairs. I will quickly go over some early predictions. We will talk more about them next week. There's no way that Liverpool will advance against PSG. I know it's closer than many people might think, but this Liverpool side, the way they defend and the amount, of how much terrible Ibrahim Konate is at the moment. I'm not talking about Virgil van Dijk, this man should be a statue outside Anfield. But Konate is terrible. I don't know how this defensive duo can Liverpool sheet clean against Kvaratskhelia or Dembele or whoever. I also see Bayern advancing over Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid at the moment has maybe the best midfielder in the world. Federico Valverde is so underrated, man.
Yeah.
The things he did in the first game against City, I don't remember any other midfielder being first in distance covered, having so many interceptions, and scoring a hat trick at the same time. Nobody else in history. I'm not talking about modern era football. Okay, Arsenal via Sporting, I think it will be one-sided. Although Arsenal started showing their loser skills yesterday vs Man City. And I also see Atletico advancing against Barcelona once again. I'm not saying that it will be like the Copa del Rey semifinals. I don't say that we'll see a 4-0 first leg or something, but I think it's about Barcelona's defensive style. They play too high up the pitch, and Ademola Lookman, we saw him yesterday in Madrid against Real Madrid as well. He's in form. Ademola Lookman, Griezmann, who puts the pressure in the third quarter of the field. I think they can do some damage. What do you think about the quarters?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that this Barcelona fixture, I don't care if it's the first or the second or both. I'm taking both teams to score and over. One of them is going to be low scoring. We already know that. But I do think Atletico Madrid are just such a fun team. Barcelona, it's such a weird team because if you can't beat their high offside trap, then they actually get back in defensive formation really quick. but with just so much great transitional attacking ability from Atletico, I feel like that one's going to be wide open, and either team can win that. Liverpool versus PSG, I think Liverpool will get undone. I think this is going to expose a lot of Liverpool's weaknesses, especially in that back line. And Liverpool's inability to just create goals whenever they need them is going to cost them. I have Bayern beating Real Madrid. I'm really excited for this Bayern team. It's a really good one. And then I put a sneaky prediction on Sporting beating Arsenal. Don't think it's going to happen, but I think Sporting have proven now they've came back from a 3-goal aggregate loss at home, and they've also beat PSG 2-1 at home in Champions League to prove that they're a force to be reckoned when playing in Portugal. So if they can somehow survive in England 1-0, they have a legitimate chance, at least not a legitimate chance. Let's call it a puncher's chance. And that's better than no chance, right? When we're talking about a financial stake on a team.
If only they were a bit better in set pieces, which is Arsenal's strong point.